What's up guys, my name is Relish. I'm an ultralight backpacker. I get questions all the time about how I put up big mile days. 30, 35, 40 mile days on a consistent basis. The process is pretty simple, but I want to take some time to demystify what that looks like and give you guys some tips and tricks on how, if you're interested in putting up big miles like that. For a lot of us, we're like, what? Huh? 35? I don't even know anyone could walk that far ever. Okay, so first I want to start with dispelling a myth. A lot of people, and I used to think the same thing, that ultralighters were just sprinting through the woods, that somehow they were hiking super fast, covering crazy miles at absurd speeds, as if they're like Flash and they're just sprinting through the backcountry. That's not really how it is. The key to putting in big mile days is longer days. It is true that some hikers hike faster than others, but that's not the reason that some backpackers are able to put up huge miles. Let me explain. Remember in high school physics or something like that, you probably learned a simple equation. Rate times time equals distance. Actually, you know what? Let me write it out. Okay, rate times time equals distance. How fast you walk times how many hours walking means how many miles you do. We've got two variables that we can tweak to hike bigger miles: rate and time. Most people think that rate is the variable that's going to get them the 35, 40, however many miles. But it's not. The best way to start hiking big miles is to go after the second variable, time. So let's do some math. I promise I'll keep this simple. So let's say we have two backpackers. We've got Relish, and I got a buddy who's a great hiker named Dylan, so we'll use Dylan. Now both Relish and Dylan hike at the same speed of 2.5 miles an hour. So let's say that Relish gets up at 8 a.m., but he spends the morning in camp, doesn't get out till 10 a.m. He hikes till 5 p.m., but he takes an hour break for lunch, and he takes another hour of breaks during the day, snacks and water and rest and whatnot. That means that in total, Relish only hiked 5 hours that day. Now let's say that Dylan starts hiking at 7 a.m. and he doesn't stop until 7 p.m. He also takes a full hour for lunch and another hour of breaks during the day for snacks and water and what have you. That means that Dylan hiked a total of 10 hours during the day. That's twice as much as Relish hiked. So what does that look like? That's twice as many miles. Relish only put in 12.5 miles, but Dylan put in 25. This is how you hike bigger miles. Okay, now you may be asking me, you just said a guy hiked 10 hours a day. How the heck do I do that? So I have 6 tips to help you hike bigger mile days. All of these tips I do myself. Tip number 1. Hike with the sun. What do I mean by that? If the sun is up, I'm on trail. When I first started the PCT, I had almost 15 hours of beautiful daylight every day. I actually found it harder later on in the trail to hike big miles, even though I was in such great shape. The days were getting so much shorter. I was only getting like 9 to 10 hour days. So here's my rule of thumb. If it's twilight, meaning that the sun is down, but there's still light outside, then I can be in camp. But if the sun is up, like if you can see it, if it's above the horizon, then I'm up and on trail. This is a fantastic way to expand your time hiking dramatically. If the sun is out, I'm on trail. Tip number 2, take your breakfast to go. Nothing jeopardizes goals for a big mile day like spending a late morning in camp. When I'm out there, I have a goal to be on trail within 20 minutes of getting up. Only once I'm on trail do I crack out breakfast and start eating my Pop-Tarts or granola bars or Oreos or Doritos or yeah. Okay, let's peel this apart a little bit. There are 2 reasons that having a hot breakfast makes it hard to get out of camp quickly. The first is that it takes time to set up your kit, to boil your water, to reconstitute your food, to let it to cool, to eat it, to clean it, to finally put it away. That's like 7 things. It just takes a long time. And the second thing, it stops you from putting all the other stuff away because you have to wait to put your stove down in there so you can put all the other stuff on top. So you're waiting around and nothing's happening. So skip that whole thing entirely and take your breakfast to go. A little bit aside, walking is a much better way to get warm than eating a hot breakfast. Tip number 3, hike slower. What? Huh? What? Let me explain. It is better to hike slower and take fewer breaks than to hike fast at an unsustainable pace and take more breaks. What I'm saying is Hike at a sustainable pace for you, one that you can keep up over long distances without having to stop and rest. Why does this matter? We all know how it goes. You tell yourself it's going to be a 3-minute break. Somehow a 3-minute break turns into a 5, and then 10, and then 15, and then soon enough you feel like you figured out how to time travel. Breaks crush efficiency. Hike slower. I guess what I'm really saying is just don't sit down. Number 4. Eat all day. You know that you say a lot of confusing things, right? When you're hiking bigger miles, your body burns through crazy calories, so you can run out of fuel quickly. Instead of eating 3 or 4 square meals a day, eat all the time. Consider snacking while you walk. Every hour or 2, pull out another something to keep your body fueled. This achieves a few things. First, you'll have more energy throughout the day. Second, you won't have to stop to do this, just snack and walk. 3, this will save you from any bloatedness or food comas that you might get into post-lunch from eating half of your food for the day. Tip number 5. I have to say it. Lower your base weight? We all know we can talk about this all the freaking time, but the truth is it really does make a big difference. When you can shave a few pounds off of your pack, you're really just saving your legs, your knees, and your ankles from getting pounded on all day. It's so important to help yourself out. Plus, if you're spending most of your day hiking now, all of those things you packed to keep you comfy while you were in camp, they're probably a little bit less relevant. We'll talk about this one plenty more in the future, but just understand that lowering your base weight is going to help you hike bigger mile days. And the final tip, tip number 6, the lunch alarm. Now this is just super tactical. We all know that sometimes lunch can go on and on and on and on and on. The lunch alarm, simply when you sit down for lunch, you set it on your phone, say I want to eat for, could be an hour, could be 45 minutes, could be 30, whatever you want, I don't care. This alarm tells you when you wanted to get up, so that 30 minutes doesn't become an hour, and an hour doesn't become 2. Take as long as you well please, but this alarm is just going to help you remember how long you pleased. Those are my 6 tips for today. I know a lot of you might consider these really extreme, or say that it takes the fun out of your backcountry experience. If that's you, then do your thing. If you want to enjoy camp and only hike 5 miles, then you do that. I love it. These tips are really for people who want to see their daily mileage increase. And they should be able to hike their own hike too. And I know that all of these tips are doable and realistic because I have done them sustainably for months on trail. That's all for today. Remember that distance equals rate times time. You can only hike so fast, but you can certainly increase the time spent hiking each day. This is truly the secret to hiking big miles. I hope that this was helpful and illuminating for you. Hit me with your questions and your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Thank you so much, and until next time.